So this is the last Pong video that we're going to do, in which we show the coding. So we're going to start off the same in this video as we did with the previous one. I'll show you the actual game working, and then once we see how the game works, we can go have a look at the code. Now, I will load up the game first of all. So we open, and the iteration I've actually got to is Pong 16 speed 10. So there was like 10 different iterations between the last bit of code that I did and this bit of code here, which is the final one. They weren't all huge changes, but I just kept adding little bits on. Okay, so it was a case of a bit of like mission creep. But this is the final one. Hopefully it's the final one. So we'll open that, we'll close it down, and we'll crack on and we'll just run the thing. So simulate, tick enabled, and go. So it still comes up with enter your name. So I'll make that up a little bit bigger. Okay, so I can see it's got enter your name. So you can pop your name on the keyboard, and Ross. And it says, welcome to Pong, Ross. Choose a level. So we've got easy, medium, and hard. So whenever we choose the easy, we choose a large paddle size, okay? And the ball moves slowly. Now the medium, the paddle size gets smaller and the ball moves a little bit faster. In hard, the paddle size is at its smallest and the ball is moving its fastest. Okay, so we'll choose initially the value of 1. Okay, now it starts writing Pong out on here, and once it's written Pong out, it's waiting for us to do something. So it's got the options up there. It's S for start, and it's P for pause, R for reset, Q for quit, and we've also got the up and the down buttons. So initially, if we want to actually do anything, we'll have to press S for start. And we get our music, okay? And then the Pong will disappear, and then we'll be ready to start the game. Now it only does this once, just at the very start, okay? It doesn't do this every single game because it takes too long. The other option thing it does here is it draws the line, okay? So there's a line at the right hand side which represents the wall. So the wall isn't the far right hand edge, okay? I've actually drawn a line. So it beeps, and it's got a different tone of beep depending on whether it hits the pad or the walls or the right hand edge. It also makes a different noise whenever it passes through, and you can see here we've got a value of 1, so I've got the score at 1 in the frame pointer. If it passes all the way through, it makes that noise here, and again we're ready here to start it whenever we want. Okay, so at this point here, in effect, this is the serve, so we can press S for serve, and that's it off again. Now I've set it up so that the top, once you hit a score of 3, that's the end of the game. Okay, now I've taken off the subtract 1, okay, if it passes through to the other side. Okay, so it won't subtract 1 off. I believe I've taken that out in this version. I've had so many versions here. So let's see whether the score comes back down to 0. Okay, so I have actually, so I've left that in. So whenever it passes through, the score goes back down to 0. Okay, so it means that you have to get 3 in a row, or well, in fact, you have to get a total of 3 in order to for us to win the game. Now, a thing that we can do here is we can press R for reset. So if we get fed up with this, we can press R, and then we're back up to the control here on the screen. Okay, so in effect, we can put in a new player. So let's now put in, we'll put in Tim, okay, and he's feeling quite keen, so he's going to go for try level 2. And that's it, ready to start. Okay, so we can go down so it doesn't draw the Pong thing up again. And you can see it's moving a bit faster. Right, also the paddle's now drawing it out two at a time. Okay, so if I press S for start, so you can see that there's the paddle's not as well rendered, but it moves a little bit faster, and we want the paddle to move faster on this fast game. Now what we can do is we can press S, or no, we can't. What is it? Pause. We can press P. So that's it. That's us at 2, I think. So if we can, right. So we'll press S for start, and then we can press P, and it stops the ball. Okay, so P pauses, stops the ball. So it means we can get the paddle in a position which is a bit better for us, and we can press S for start, and then the paddle's there. Okay, so it's a little cheat we've got. We can press that pause in order to cheat a little bit. So I think this will be our third one here. So that's the end of the game. So we've got 3 points. So I think that we've got, so we've got 3 points here in the frame pointer. So that's that end of the game. And we've got an option, do we want to start a new game? So if we press yes to start a new game, then in effect, that's the new game started. Okay, and we just do another set of 3. Now, if we'd pressed no there, then it would have just finished the game and that's the end of it, and it would come up with game over. So what we can do here is we can do the reset, okay, and we can put in someone else, okay, Lyuba, Luba, which is, or Luba, it's actually Lubov, but Luba, which means love in Russian. So we can put in that name there, and we'll choose 3 this time. So this is the hardest one. Okay. And then you can see how much faster the ball goes. Right, and the paddle's a little bit smaller. Okay, and it does take a bit of concentration here. Oh, and I set it up as well so that the key presses, it doesn't check for key presses every single iteration of this game, or iteration of the program. It only checks every 5, okay? So it means that it's a little bit less responsive. But if you want, you can change that key press to a different value. But I've messed about with it, and this is not too bad for sort of speed and difficulty. You know, once you've played it for about 10 minutes or so, you can start to just about get this to work. And you see, the nice thing is as well is that the angles are different because the ball is moving faster. So what in effect is happening is that the ball's got 3 different speeds. So either it goes along one and down 1, or it goes along 2 and down 1, or it goes along 3 and down 1. Okay, so each of those will give a slightly different angle of the ball at those different speeds. Now, we haven't added in anything fancy, like if it was to hit the paddle at a certain position, it will bounce off at a different angle. We can add that in, but it's just extra code, and I think the code is long enough, and it's going to be difficult enough for me to describe the code as it is already. Okay, so what you can do, you can take the code, and if you think, well, I can make this better, I can add in these little additions, then you can go ahead and obviously you can do that for yourselves. Now, if we wanted to just finish here and said, well, we've had enough, okay, we don't want to play anymore, I think I've showed you all of the different levels. If we finish, we can say Q, and that's it, quit. It it plays a little tune here, okay, and at the end, yeah, it prints up game over. And this is at real speed, so this is how long it takes to write game over. This is why I don't do it at the end of every single game. We only do it whenever the entire game finishes and we've had enough, okay? So I either choose no, meaning we don't want another game, or we choose Q for quit. And at the very end, it says game over, Luba. Okay, so that is the basic, our basic Pong game. I'll go simulate and I'll stop this, reset it, and that's how it all works. Now what I want to do now is we'll move on to the code and we'll go through the code. And again, I've tried to keep it in the same format as the previous lot of code, okay? So let's have a wee look and we'll see our code here. So we actually started off, we finished off the last one here. I guess it's a bit darker now because I've got the dark screen here. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We finished off the last one there and it was text, it's Pong 15 underscore text.asm, and you can see I've got all of these different iterations. Pong 16, and this was to, it says speed because I wanted to speed it up, but I didn't just speed it up, I added all these other extra bits in, and through this process here we added in the beeps and the sounds, and I've changed the sound card, okay, and upgraded it quite a bit. So the very final one here is this one here. So it's Pong 16 underscore speed 10. So hopefully this is the last iteration. I'll get rid of that light a little bit. Now again, my image is maybe a bit dark here. It's because it's because I was getting light shining from the actual screen. Now the screen's in dark mode, it's made me dark as well. But maybe get a wee bit closer. Okay, so we've got I've left all of the symbolic constants. These are all much the same, okay? Right, now these are the kind of the new ones here, and the ones we want to really take a note of are this lot here, because this lot here, we're now going to have the ball, instead of just having the ball down, going across, and we've got one for each of them. We've got one for each of these, and we've got one for easy, one for medium, and one for difficult. So rather than going from 4, we end up going 4, 8, 12. So we end up with these 12 of these, which are going to define how the ball moves. Okay, so in effect, these are the most important changes that you can see in the code. Okay, the addition of these, and throughout the rest of the code, really most of the changes that you'll see will be changes where we've had to add in these lines, these symbolic constants throughout the code. Now, I'm not going to talk through. One other thing I want to mention here about the code is that if you were to look through this entire code, you'll notice that we don't have any data commands, we don't have any load commands or any store commands. All of the load and the store commands have been replaced by the move command. Okay, so the idea was we wanted the move command to be really kind of ubiquitous, that it can do pretty much everything, so that we have just one main command that will shuffle the information about from register to memory, memory to memory, register to register, and so on and so forth. And we get that with the move command. So I've replaced all the loads and stores with the move, okay? But in this, ostensibly the code's much the same. Now the other command that we've got rid of is the data command, okay? But we replaced the data command with this other command here, ADR. It's an address. It's kind of like a move command, but we can use it along with this example here. So text underscore name underscore prompt. So if we wanted to print something on the screen, okay, we would have used this data command, but we're going to use this ADR. So it means that we've simplified a lot of the code. We've cut down a lot of the either a lot of the lines, so we've got rid of quite a few lines of code, which obviously speeds it up and speeds the whole game up. And we're using this other ADR command here, which is similar to the data command, but just runs slightly differently. So that's the main thing to note here. Now, now I'm not going to go through. There's a wee difference obviously in the setup here because we don't draw out the game over, we don't draw out the Pong, so there's a difference sort of like in the architecture of the code. Okay, I'm not going to go through the details. You can see if you follow through each of the lines, you can see where it's jumping to and what it's going to be doing, and it's doing pretty much what we've seen in the previous version. Okay, so all of these things here are printing the stuff up onto the screen, and we're getting to choose the difficulty. So we're difficulty levels here, so and then we get to read the difficulty levels, and then here we actually set everything up for a particular difficulty level. So we've got easy, we've got these here, but we've got the addition of a few extra ones here because we've got the dynamic position for the ball. Okay, so the ball's now going to have not just one set of positions. It's going to have 3 sets of 4. Okay, because we're going to have 3 different speeds for the ball. So these are extra ones added in. Like here, here, and here. And then again, we've still gone through the controls here, so how to control the flow of the game. So this is all much the same as we had previously for printing stuff up. Okay, I've put comments here down on the right hand side. Some of it says new, but it isn't actually new. It's maybe just that you'll actually see some of it still in the previous version. Okay, so all of this is pretty similar, and we've got the paddle, drawn out the different paddles. Okay, and then there's the main loop here, and we've got all the keys for the main loop, okay, which jump depending on which keys pressed to a particular subroutine. That's the same as we've seen before. We've got it when we can serve the ball, pause the ball, quit. We can reset it, press the reset and it resets back to the text. And then there's the drawn out and erasing the paddle, okay, at the end of the game, okay. And we've got the step up and step down, okay, so to move the paddle, we've got all the moving the paddles, which again is all much the same. Move up and move down, and then we've got the check the boundaries as well, okay, so we can go through and those are all pretty much the same for checking all of the boundary positions and the collisions. And there's we get a different noise depending on how we hit each corner, okay, but we can show you that when we get further down, okay. And all of these are pretty much the same, you know, other than the fact that whenever it hits walls, you know, at the speed that it's going will be 3 different speeds, okay. So by 3 different speeds, what it means is it changes the dynamic of the position of the ball. So it's either a long 1 down 1, or a long 2 down 1, or a long 3 and down 1, okay. So all that, again, it's pretty much the same as for all of the previous code that we've got here. I'm trying to find out where we could actually so there's different, we've got a different sounds for hitting, you know, the paddle, or so hitting the paddle makes one sound, it passing through the wall makes another sound. Whenever you hit the vertical or the bottom, the top or the bottom, it makes another sound, and whenever it hits the far wall here, it makes another sound. Okay, so those are variations in the sounds. I fixed the scoring up a little bit as well, because we had an issue with it not initializing properly, and the score could go up to like 3, 4, 5, 6 and things like that. Okay, so I adjusted that a little bit. Now this is the different sounds. Okay, so I could as well just talking about this at the moment. So we've got the sound here for the paddle, for the vertical walls, and for the bottom walls, so on and so forth. Okay, now what we're going to do with the sound is that we can the sound goes, and if I can remember right, we're at line 614. If I go to the sound bit, I had a wee note here. a description here. Okay, so the way the sound works here, whenever we move something into the sound card, okay, the two most significant bits, okay, select the frequency, and the frequency goes from, I think I did 100 hertz up to 10 kilohertz, and we've got 256 values between those, okay, and we choose it in a kind of an exponential fashion, okay, so we choose a certain group dependent on that. So it's split out quite nicely so we can get a good lot of usable frequencies. And on the next two are going to be the note length. And again, the note length is going to go up from just a few um, milliseconds up to maybe, I think, 5 seconds, okay? And we've got 256 values that take us along that route, okay? Again, it's not, I never did it linearly, it's like an exponential mapping from those 256 onto the different lengths of sound. Okay, so that's basically how it works, and we've got the 0 cross triple F1, which is the memory mapped IO address for the sound card. Okay, so it means if we come back up here to where we were, I think 624, around about here. Okay, so it means that, for example, this move 0 cross 5453, so 54 is the frequency, 53 is the length of time. Okay, and now I didn't generate these sounds by myself. I went ahead and I got AI to go ahead and say, well, from these scales, which ones are particular notes, and then it told me which ones were particular notes, and I said, okay, well, if I give you a piece of music, say that I want you to generate, can you get those notes and then regenerate those notes in roughly those lengths? Because I don't know what the frequency for the notes are, and I don't know what the lengths of the notes are, but I can quite easily go into an AI tool and ask it, and it'll come back and it'll generate these for me. So I haven't in effect gone in and said, well, I'm a great musician, I can generate all of this music. I haven't. I've done it. I've got it all automated for myself. Okay, but that's a whole other little course that I could probably put together. Okay, to show you all of this. But what we've got here are our different sounds. Okay. Clearing. We've got this stuff here for clearing the ball position. Clear exit paddle. So at the end of the very game, we want to clear everything off before it goes to game over. So that's what these things do. Okay, and there's the point here. We've seen that about points, losing a point, and we've got the game over routine here. We've got the raise the paddle, and it's got drawing that final game over. This is all similar stuff we've done here before. There's a reset the ball. The bit here where we ask if you want another game, yes or no. Let's see, text for the game is over, and then the exit in the game. And this bit here, from here on, is all just the music. So we've got an intro music, and you can see all the details here. I never generated these frequencies and these speeds, but I've got AI to do it, and it tells us roughly what the note is. So this is a C4, E4, G4, C5, and so forth. Okay, so I could generate, and I probably will generate, a little table. I won't make the sound card any more complicated than it is. It's just a simple sine wave that's got frequency and duration changed, and that's it. Okay, and I'll keep it at that because it sounds really quite retro. Okay, but I can generate all of this detail. I can tell you how to generate all of the sounds. I'll get that in a different video. Okay, but that's the intro. And we've also got the playing the goodbye, okay, for the music there as well. So all of this stuff here is all just for the music, okay. Again, that's all just for the music, and that's the end of the program. So it's a bit of a rough description of the program, but I've talked through it so often previously, you should be able to get a kind of indication of the program flow, and you've got access to this code as well. So when you can run it in the machine, and you can run through it yourself, one line at a time if you want, okay, to interrogate everything on it. But really what you want to do is just get the rough structure. And then down at the bottom here, we've got all of our assembler directives, so our defining our storage and defining our constants. Okay, and there's a few extra ones here that we've added in here as well, so for the dynamic ball positions for each of the directions. Okay, and all the rest of this is pretty much the same. Okay, and all the way down here, as we've seen in previous videos. So that's a kind of, I know it's a bit of a rough and ready, but if I was to go through every single bit of it, it would take hours and hours to talk my way through it. I think it gives you a reasonable explanation of what's happening. So the only thing that's left for me to do is put together a nice kind of showcase video for the Pong. I will also go ahead and just check through and annotate some more of the code and just get it kind of looking kind of nice and perfect. So I hope you've enjoyed the Pong series. I've enjoyed making it. Another advantage we have is that all the code is here in order for us to generate other games. Okay, so we've got a basis of code here, and this same code can be, pulled apart and just redone, and we can generate other games from it. For example, the game Breakout, where we've got the little blocks along the top, and we've got a paddle that moves along the bottom, and then the ball just goes up, and if it hits the paddle, it bounces back up off the side walls, and it comes up, and it will hit the little blocks. The block will disappear, and the game is to try and get rid of all of the little blocks. Okay, so that's all. Thank you for listening to my Pong series, and I will get you on the next video. Goodbye.